welcome to Software Basics. My name is Anna, and I'm a Learning Lab Specialist here at Gwinnett County Public Library. Today, we're going to be learning the absolute basics of Lightroom CC, which is an Adobe Creative Cloud program used for photo editing, photo organization, file management, all kinds of good stuff. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open our program. We're going to go right up here to our Adobe Creative Cloud apps. And you may notice that there is a program called Lightroom, and there's another one called Lightroom Classic. Today, we're just going to be looking at Lightroom, which is also known as Lightroom CC. Lightroom Classic is very similar. It's an older version of Lightroom. In my opinion, just regular Lightroom is a little bit more beginner-friendly. It's great because it has cloud technology, so all of your files are stored in your Adobe Creative Cloud rather than just in the program. And that is something we will talk about a little bit more later, but let's go ahead and open up our program. So as you can see, when I launch the program, some of my photos that I've already imported are right there, ready for me to edit, ready to go. And if I want to, I can click into those and just start going. Because this works on the Adobe Creative Cloud and everything's stored in the cloud, I can access this anywhere that I log in with my username and password. So even if this is not the computer that I always use, if I have another computer that has Lightroom on it, if I have my phone or my tablet or anything with the Lightroom app, I can access these same photos from any of those devices. So if you're just starting out, your library is going to be completely blank. Not a problem. We are going to learn how to import and create albums, create folders, and organize our imports. So when we want to add photos, we're going to go right up here on the left-hand side to add photos. And you can add your photos directly from your camera, from a hard drive or a flash drive, from your phone, anything that you store your photos on, an SD card, anything. You're just going to plug that right into your computer. And mine is on a hard drive, so I'm just going to click on my hard drive right here. I'm going to find my folder, and I want to import these pictures that I took in France. So I want all of these, so I can have just the album or just the folder in my hard drive selected, and I can just review for import. And that puts all of my photos in there ready to be imported. So let's say that some of these I don't want. So I can go through and I'm like, okay, I don't really want this one, or I don't really want this one. I can just deselect those, and when I add those photos, they are not included. So now that I have all of these, I added them to an album that they shouldn't be in. These are for a museum photo shoot that I did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new album. And I'm just going to call this one France because that's where these photos were taken. And now I can go ahead and select all of these photos and just move them into that folder. Okay, so now that I have them all selected, I'm just going to click and drag them right into there. And I can go ahead and remove these from this album because they don't need to be in there. And so now they are just in this folder where they're supposed to be. And if I want to look at all of my photos, I can go over here to all photos. And this shows me everything as I have them. So that's awesome. We've got our France photos imported. You can see over here that I have a folder. So this folder has 2 albums within it. Folders are a good way to organize if you have like a lot of different shoots in the same category. Say that I'm doing a lot of fashion photography, but I'm doing a bunch of different shoots. It is useful to have a folder containing all of your different albums, especially if you're going to be adding a lot of albums. The file management can get a little bit crazy if you have a ton of albums going on, but adding folders, organizing under folders makes it a lot easier. So let's say I want to add some more albums to this folder. So I can go ahead and create a new album, and it's going to ask me if I want it inside the folder fashion photography, and I'm going to go ahead and keep that box checked. And I'm going to call this album Model 3 because I have another model's pictures that I want to add. So when I click into this album, it says that it's empty, and I can just add photos by clicking this button right here. So now I'm going to go back into my hard drive. I'm going to find my fashion shoot folder, and I'm going to find those photos with the third model. So you can see that it shows me a little preview. Already added those. So here is the third model. And I'm going to add this one just to show you one more time. So I've got all these pictures of the same girl. This one is not the same, so I'm just going to deselect her. And you'll see that that one was not imported, but the rest of them were. So now that we've learned how to import our files, organize our photos into albums and folders, let's talk really quickly about the pros and cons of using Lightroom as your primary photo storage solution. So for the pros, Lightroom has its own built-in file management cataloging system, which is really great. You don't need to fill up a hard drive with a bunch of things. You can store these in your Lightroom account, and like I said before, you can access them from any computer, any device that has the Lightroom app on it. Another pro is that it is great for non-destructive editing, which basically means that your original file is not affected by what you do in Lightroom. So I'll go into this a little bit more in just a minute when I show you the actual editing aspect of this program. But whatever you do in Lightroom, whether you crop it, whether you change the colors, whether you mess it up completely, it's not going to affect your original file from your SD card, from your hard drive, wherever that file is originally stored. And the original will always be available in Lightroom for you to go back to. You can always undo all of your edits and get back to your original photo. So this is really great for if you're brand new to editing. You might mess some stuff up, you might not like your end result, and you can always go back to what you originally had without worrying about losing your original photo. Another pro is that Lightroom is really great for photos that you shoot in RAW, which is a camera setting. It's a file type because, again, it preserves the file data, and you can export your RAW files as JPEGs or any other file types without losing your original RAW photo. And now for the cons, I would say that the number one con, in my opinion, is the cost. Adobe Creative Cloud is not free. It's a little bit expensive. You can pay monthly or yearly, but it is pretty cost prohibitive. The good news, though, is that you can come use any of the Adobe Creative Cloud software in the Learning Labs at GCPL for free. You just have to create an account, and all of these programs are available for you to use for free. So that is really awesome. Another con is that it is actually better for a Mac-based system than a Windows-based system. It is compatible with both, but it works a little bit better on a Mac. And the cloud technology is a little bit more useful if you have Apple devices because the app is available on all of your Apple devices. And just another note, Lightroom Classic is a little bit more advanced than Lightroom CC. It has more editing features. It is a more robust program. But Lightroom CC is really great for beginners. It has pretty much everything you're going to need on a daily basis. Okay, so now that we've talked about some of our pros and cons, let's go ahead and move into what I think is the most exciting part of this program, which is the actual photo editing. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these modules over on the right-hand side. And we're not going to go super into detail today just because it can be a little overwhelming when you first get started. There's a lot of options, there's a lot of sliders. I'm just going to show you the basics to get you started, and we can talk about more advanced features in the next one. So let's go ahead and click on our Edit tab. And you'll see when I click on this that it opens the photo that I had selected in my photo grid. So this tab has a bunch of different sections, and all of these have their own little sliders that will affect different things in your photo. So really quickly, I'll just show you how a couple of these work. Something that you might use a lot is exposure. If your photo is a little bit too dark, it looks like this, you might want to bring your exposure up a little bit just to get some of that light in. And these can all be changed to affect how your photo looks. Maybe I want to add some highlights or take them away. And you can just play around with these and see what they do to your photo, how they make it look, and what you think looks best. There's no one specific way to edit your photos. It's whatever you think looks the best is what's going to work for you. And when you get into color, you can change the temperature, you can white balance it. Woo, that is not great. And you'll see, just like I did right there, some of the stuff that you do is going to look absolutely wrong. It's going to look crazy. You're not going to like it. And you can always, always, always change it back. So let's say that I wanted to take away all of the stuff that I did. I'm going to press Command Z, and I'm just going to undo everything. Whoop. And I've undone it a little bit too much. Let's go back into our photos. So this view window up here is going to show you your photo grid, your photos. If you want to open these back up, somehow they get lost, not a problem. So I'm going to go back into here and back into my edit tab. And see, now I've got my original photo back without any of the adjustments that I made before. Now let's click into this one. So let's say I really like this photo, but I don't really like that there's a person standing right here. I just want the paintings on the wall. We're going to go into our crop tab. And this is going to give us a little guideline right here where we can just drag this and crop our photo as we want. It also has a really cool feature right here, which is straighten. And you can automatically do that. In my photo, it thinks my photo is pretty straight, so it's not going to auto straighten it very much. You can see it did a little bit. But if I want it more like this, I want a different angle on it, I can just drag that slider and change the angle. You can also rotate it. You can flip it inside out. You can basically mirror it. You can flip it upside down. All kinds of options in this panel. There's also the option for if you are trying to crop your photo for to be a specific size, if you want it in iPhone dimensions, if you want it in certain dimensions for your website or anything like that, you can come down here to the drop-down menu under aspect ratio. And let's say I want it 7:5, it changes the size of that crop to whatever your aspect ratio is. So I think that looks good. And when I click into a different tab, you'll see that it has cropped my photo. But as I've said before, this is non-destructive editing. So let's say I don't really like that. I'm like, okay, I want my original photo back. It's still there. It is still there for me to see. I can go right back to what it was before. So I have some photos down here that I want to rotate. And I can just rotate them like that. Super, super easy. And now in the preview of these photos down here, they are the right way around and I can see them the way that I want to. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look in this tab. This is the healing brush. So this is good for if you have a photo, but there's some things in the photo you don't really like. There's maybe something standing in the way of something that you want to see, or there's some imperfections on the skin of the person whose photo you're editing. You can use the healing brush, and most of the time it will take out what you don't want to see pretty seamlessly. It'll use the information from the rest of the photo to sort of fill that in. So let's say I really like this photo, but I don't really like all these people standing in the middle. So I can Command plus or Control plus if you're using Windows and zoom in, and let's say maybe I don't really want this person right here. No offense to them, but maybe I just don't want them in my photo. So I'm gonna boost the size up a little bit to see if I can get all of them. And this works best on a pretty flat canvas. So if you have a lot going on in your photo, it's gonna be a little bit harder to mask this super well. So let's go ahead and see if we can take this person out. And that's pretty good, honestly. We can feather it a little bit so it looks a little bit less harsh. And it basically just takes the information from a different part of the photo and masks it over the information that you want to delete. So that looks pretty good, honestly. And we can click into a different tab and we can see that person is gone. Okay, so now we're gonna look in our brush tab, which is right here. So this has all of the same sliders that you have in your edit tab, but in your edit tab, when you're changing these, you're affecting the whole photo. Whereas in the brush tab, you can pick a place that you want to affect and add your edits, add whatever you want to without affecting the rest of the photo. So let's say that I want this chandelier to be a little bit less bright, but I like the brightness of the rest of the photo. So I can go ahead and click on that, and it gives me the option to use my brush. And I'll change the brush size to pretty big because I want to affect this whole area. And I will just turn my exposure down a little bit and see where that gets me. So that's a little bit better. Maybe I will turn down the highlights a bit, maybe turn down the shadows, maybe turn down the whites a little bit. And you can see that all of these changes that I'm making are just affecting the area that I just brushed. So all of these sliders, I can affect the hue. I can make it purple if I want to. And all of that just affects the area that I wanted. And if I want to apply the same effects to different areas in the photo, I can do that as well. But let's say I want a different effect on a different part of the photo. I can always press this plus button right here and basically just choose a new place to have a brush stroke. And if I don't like what I did, I can go into the eraser. I can find this will highlight all of your brush strokes in that area. I'll click on that and I can subtract whatever I want to. And now I'm back to my original image. If I want to undo that, I can press Command Z and get back to where my edits were. So now let's say I'm really happy with this photo. I've gone through all my edits. I like what I did. I can go ahead and export my file. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Export. And over here we've got our file settings. So I want this to be a JPEG, which is just your basic photo file type, but there's also other file types if you are interested in those. And I think I want this one to be full size, but if you're trying to save space on wherever you're exporting your photos to, it's very easy just to change it to small, no problem. It'll just be a smaller file type, easier to store. And I want it at 100% quality. But again, if you're trying to save file space, you can bump that quality down. I wouldn't put it at 10% just because it's going to be a little blurry. But you could take it down to 60 if you're not too worried about it. I'll keep it at 100. And if you want to rename your file, go ahead and click on More Options, and you can make a custom name for that photo. And I'll call this one Chandeliers. And now I will go ahead and export that photo. And it's going to ask me where I want that. So I'm going to go into my hard drive. I'm going to create a new folder inside of my Lightroom Program Photos folder that I'm going to call Edits. And this is optional. You can save your photo wherever you want to. I think it's nice to organize things on my hard drive the same way that I organize things in Lightroom. So I'm going to export it to that folder. And now when I go into my hard drive and find that folder, it's right there. And this can also be done with several photos at a time. So let's say I want this one, I want this one, and I want this one. I just command and clicked every one of those. And I can go right back up to export the same way that I did before. And I can export those photos the exact same way that I did before into my edits. And now you'll see, if I go back in there, that those are all in there too. And I can rename those in here if I really want to the bookstore or tower. So now we have looked at how to import our photos into Lightroom, how to organize them into folders and albums, the pros and cons of Lightroom as a program, how to edit our photos, doing basic photo editing, cropping, the brush tool, the spot healing tool, and how to export our photos onto our hard drive or wherever we want to export our photos to. Thank you so much for watching today's Lightroom CC Basics tutorial. If you're a Gwinnett County Public Library card holder, as I said before, you can come into the Learning Labs and use these programs completely for free. And if you're not within our county and you want to come to the labs, an out-of-county card is only $40 a year. So this is a great resource for anybody who is interested in photo editing. And if you're interested in getting more into detail with Lightroom and you need some help, feel free to book a librarian with one of our Learning Lab specialists and we can help you figure it out. Thanks so much for watching.